Our first speaker today is Dr. Thomas Uthup. Dr. Uthup is the Research and Education Manager for the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations and has been a good friend to the NGO community, specifically helping us to address the link between a culture of peace and dialogue among civilizations and the many faiths practiced by millions around the world. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Always helps to have a woman next to you. Who knows what they do. First of all, thank you very much. I should say that to DPI NGO for arranging this briefing and inviting me. We think it's great when a UN agency takes an interest in doing something which is very close to our hearts, that is informing and educating people about different religions. I'm not going to be speaking about the Baha'i, because there are enough Baha'i people here who can speak about that, but I just did want to show you a picture of the Baha'i temple in New Delhi, which is going to become soon a rival to the Taj Mahal in terms of the number of visitors it gets. It's a beautiful building. Unfortunately, I've not had the chance to go there myself. Next slide, please. I'm going to be talking very briefly about the Alliance of Civilizations, but also about why it is important to know about and enhance understanding across faiths, and how the UN Alliance of Civilizations builds knowledge about and enhances understanding across faiths and issues related to faiths. Next slide. Very quickly, the UN Alliance of Civilizations is a UN initiative of the Secretary General, supported by a group of friends of about 130 countries and intergovernmental organizations. President Sampaio, the former president of Portugal, is the High Representative, and he reports to the Secretary General, and we report to President Sampaio. Our secretariat is very small, it's about 14. And we primarily work in the areas of migration, media, education, and youth. Next slide. Quickly to move on to the second part, the importance of understanding faiths. The first is I want to give a couple of theoretical issues, and this is really my understanding because we really haven't come up with a theory. And next slide. The way I see it, it's apathy and ignorance that leads to stereotypes, and this is what leads to violence and tensions. Next slide, positive one. Therefore, you need education and dialogue for knowledge, understanding, tolerance, and peace. I will be happy to talk more about that at some later point. The functional importance is something that I think is very important. The first is that if you don't know about religion, it often leads to tensions and conflicts. And since we're in the United States, let me just come up with three very specific examples. The first is, I don't know how many people know, but after 9/11, the first person who was killed was actually neither Muslim nor Christian nor Hindu. He was actually a Sikh because he was wearing a turban, and somebody thought that he was a Muslim because Osama bin Laden wears a turban. Second is just items about how people express their faith, such as wearing dress. And we have seen incidences where imams and Muslims wearing dresses have been pulled off planes. And the third, and I personally would probably not wear an outfit like I'm wearing today on a plane, because I would be subject to a bit more scrutiny. The third is, in the United States itself, we have seen incidents where people who are wearing, Jews who are wearing tefillin, which is this amulet, kind of like rosary beads for Catholics or prayer beads for Muslims, but they have this tefillin, And they have been pulled off planes and interrogated by the FBI or police because other passengers thought that this was wires that was leading to a bomb. But more specifically on the conflict area, research we have done indicates, next slide, that about 2/3 of conflicts have some kind of cultural dimension, and by cultural dimension I mean religion, language or ethnicity or combinations thereof, and about, I would say about out of the 97 conflicts, about half have some kind of religious dimension. That does not mean that they're a cause, but there is a dimension. The second part of this is really the necessity for inclusion, for innovation and development and MDG achievement. We've just lost a great individual, Steve Jobs. And we know that now if we do not include everyone in our society, we can have a lack of innovation. And it's just like, if you exclude 50% of the population, that is women, as a society, you're really losing out on a lot of talent. And the third is the role of faith-based inspired groups. We've seen what the Baha'i has done, but there are other religious beliefs, religious organizations, faith-based inspired organizations that are working on providing humanitarian relief and helping with education and health. Next slide. The work of the Alliance really is, I would say, twofold. One is practical projects that counter polarization, stereotypes and ignorance in the 4 fields I mentioned: migration, media, education, and youth, as well as transversal projects, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And this dovetails very well with the recent resolution of the Human Rights Council, talking about combating intolerance by working on education and countering the stereotypes. And the second is, increasingly, the Alliance has become an international and inclusive platform for civil discussion of sensitive issues, including the issue of religious freedom, which is a very complex issue. First, to talk briefly about the Education About Religions and Beliefs project. This is a project I run. This is focused on providing teachers, particularly with, and anyone who comes to the site, with resources that are helpful to teach about different religions and beliefs, and including ethics education, civic education, tolerance education, and the like. The second part of this is educating about the role that faith plays, especially the positive role. We know often about the negative role that faith plays, but we are looking at how faith plays a positive role. The second major area is through media. We try to provide experts on different issues, including religious issues, to journalists, so that they don't come up with the same stereotypes that are conventional. We do trainings of religious journalists, and recently a group of young students produced about 2-minute videos where they interviewed experts about Islam, and you can see it on the website. It's called 100 Questions About Islam. This was done in partnership with the British Council. The third initiative that I'd like to focus on a little bit is about stimulating innovation at the grassroots. And when I mean innovation, it's innovation in building bridges between different cultures, including religions. And recently we had the Intercultural Innovation Award. I guess you can't typeface, but it's the Intercultural Innovation Award in partnership with BMW. We just finished our first round of the deadline just passed for the applications on October 16th, and we hope to select 10 projects which will get 1 year of support and follow-up for networking, replication, and scaling up. The last area is the area of religious freedom, and I'm sure I will have something more to say about this. But essentially, we've had a number of discussions now, and these were the conclusions from the last discussion that was held in Florence, which focused on the role of Christian communities, but also dealt with with the larger issue of religious freedom. As you know, it's a very complex issue, it's a very sensitive issue, and there are things that need to be done by states and civil society in that area. I should mention that there's Qatar, we're going to have a forum in Qatar where we hope to engage with civil society much more actively in resolving these issues. It's like Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has suggested, it's not alone that states and intergovernmental organizations cannot do this task alone, but we have to work actively with civil society. Thank you.